Welcome back. The blockchain industry is currently moving through one of its most intense innovation phases in years. And at the center of this shift is a new wave of high-performance Layer 1 networks, trying to solve the long-standing limitations of Ethereum's architecture. One of the most talked about names in this emerging cycle is MONAD XYZ, a project that is rapidly gaining attention from both developers and investors due to its ambitious design and performance-focused approach. In this video script, we are going to break down what MONAD actually is, why its Parallel EVM design is being discussed so heavily, and how it could potentially reshape the future of decentralized applications, decentralized finance, and on-chain scalability. We will also explore why this matters for everyday users, traders, and builders who are trying to navigate a multi-chain crypto world that is becoming more complex every day. This video is for informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research or consult a professional before making any investment decisions. The excitement around MONAD XYZ is not random hype. It is built around a very specific technical idea that directly challenges one of the biggest bottlenecks in blockchain history. To understand why this matters, we need to start with how most Ethereum-based systems currently work. The Ethereum virtual machine, commonly known as the Ethereum virtual machine, EVM, processes transactions in a sequential manner. This means that every transaction is executed one after another in a strict order. While this design has been extremely reliable and secure, it also creates a major limitation. When network demand increases, congestion builds up, fees rise, and transaction speed slows down significantly. MONAD XYZ enters this landscape with a completely different philosophy. Instead of accepting sequential execution as a fixed rule, it introduces what is known as a parallel EVM architecture. In simple terms, this means the network is designed to process multiple transactions at the same time instead of handling them one by one. This is a massive shift in how blockchain execution is handled. If successful, it could allow the network to scale far beyond the limits of traditional EVM-based chains while still maintaining compatibility with Ethereum's existing tools and smart contracts. What makes this even more interesting is that MONAD XYZ is not trying to reinvent everything from scratch. Instead, it is carefully optimizing the underlying execution layer while keeping full compatibility with Ethereum bytecode. This means developers who already build on Ethereum can potentially migrate their applications without rewriting their code, which is a huge advantage. In the crypto world, where developer adoption is everything, this level of compatibility can significantly accelerate growth. Now, the core breakthrough that is driving attention toward MONAD XYZ is its claim of extremely high transaction throughput. Market discussions and early technical expectations suggest that the network could theoretically reach up to 10,000 transactions per second. While real-world performance will depend on implementation and adoption, even the possibility of reaching this level is enough to place MONAD in the category of next-generation blockchain infrastructure. Unlike Layer 2 solutions that depend on Ethereum for final settlement, MONAD XYZ is being built as a standalone Layer 1 blockchain. This distinction is very important. A Layer 1 network operates independently, handling its own consensus, execution, and state management. This allows MONAD to redesign performance at every level of the stack, rather than relying on another chain's limitations. The goal is not just to scale Ethereum, but to rethink how an EVM-compatible blockchain should function in a high-performance environment. Because of this approach, MONAD XYZ is often compared to high-speed, non-EVM chains like Solana. However, the key difference is that MONAD aims to combine speed with full EVM compatibility. This hybrid approach is what makes the project especially attractive. Developers do not have to choose between ecosystem familiarity and performance. Instead, they can potentially get both in one environment. To understand why this matters, we need to zoom out and look at the real user experience problem in blockchain today. One of the biggest barriers to mainstream adoption has always been usability. During periods of high demand, users often face slow confirmations, failed transactions, and extremely high gas fees. This creates a frustrating experience for traders, gamers, and DeFi users alike. Over time, this friction pushes many users away from decentralized applications and back toward centralized platforms. MONAD XYZ is trying to directly address this issue by removing the performance bottleneck at the protocol level. If a blockchain can process transactions quickly and efficiently, even under heavy load, then it can support more complex applications. This opens the door for real-time decentralized trading systems, high-frequency DeFi strategies, advanced on-chain gaming, and more responsive applications that feel closer to traditional web platforms. This shift is not just technical. It represents a change in what blockchain applications can actually do. Instead of being limited by slow settlement times, developers could build experiences that feel instant and scalable. That is why the concept of parallel EVM is generating so much attention. It is not just an upgrade, it is a potential redesign of how decentralized computing works within the EVM ecosystem. Another important angle to understand is how liquidity and user activity are evolving across multiple chains. The blockchain ecosystem is no longer dominated by a single network. Instead, it is becoming increasingly multi-chain, with users moving assets across different ecosystems depending on speed, cost, and opportunity. In this environment, fragmentation becomes a real challenge. Users often need multiple wallets, multiple interfaces, and multiple tools just to manage their assets across different networks. This is where multi-chain infrastructure becomes extremely important. Tools like Bitkit Wallet are designed to simplify this complexity. Instead of forcing users to manually switch between different ecosystems, these wallets provide a unified interface, where assets from multiple chains can be managed in one place. As new high-performance networks like MONAD XYZ emerge, this type of infrastructure becomes essential for onboarding users smoothly. If MONAD achieves meaningful adoption, users will need an easy way to interact with its ecosystem alongside Ethereum, Layer 2 networks, and other Layer 1 chains. Without this kind of unified access layer, the user experience becomes fragmented and difficult to manage. That is why multi-chain wallets are becoming a critical part of the overall crypto stack, even if they are often overlooked compared to the blockchains themselves. From a market perspective, the excitement around MONAD XYZ also reflects a broader shift in investor and developer sentiment. For a long time, the blockchain industry has been stuck in a trade-off between speed and ecosystem maturity. Ethereum offers the largest ecosystem, strongest developer base, and deepest liquidity, but struggles with scalability during peak usage. On the other hand, faster chains often sacrifice compatibility or ecosystem depth in order to achieve performance gains. XYZ is attempting to bridge this gap by combining both sides into a single architecture. If successful, this would eliminate one of the most persistent dilemmas in blockchain design. Developers would no longer need to choose between performance and familiarity. Instead, they could build high-speed applications while still using Ethereum-based tools and standards. This is why venture capital interest and community engagement around MONAD have been increasing. Projects that solve foundational infrastructure problems tend to attract long-term attention because they can influence entire ecosystems. Even if MONAD is still in its early stages, the narrative alone is powerful enough to draw developers who are actively searching for better execution environments. At the same time, it is important to remain realistic about what is currently known versus what is still theoretical. Many of the performance claims surrounding MONAD XYZ are based on design goals and early testing, rather than fully scaled mainnet performance. In blockchain development, achieving theoretical throughput in controlled environments is very different from maintaining that performance under global usage conditions. This is why observers are closely watching MONAD's testnet progress, developer activity, and ecosystem growth. The true success of the project will depend not just on its architecture, but on how well it performs in real-world conditions, how many developers build on it, and how much liquidity flows into its ecosystem once it launches publicly. For users and traders, this means the smartest approach is not blind excitement, but informed observation. Watching which decentralized finance protocols, liquid staking systems, and infrastructure tools begin to deploy on MONAD will give a clearer picture of its long-term potential. Another key point worth highlighting is how user behavior is evolving alongside this technology shift. More users are moving away from centralized exchanges and toward decentralized environments where they can directly interact with on-chain applications. However, this transition only works smoothly if the underlying infrastructure is fast, cheap, and easy to use. If MONAD XYZ can deliver on its promises, it could significantly reduce the friction that currently exists in decentralized finance. This could lead to higher participation rates, more active trading environments, and more complex financial products being built directly on-chain. In other words, performance improvements at the base layer can unlock entirely new categories of applications above it. This is why the discussion around scalability is not just a technical debate. It directly impacts user experience, adoption rates, and the overall direction of the crypto industry. To sum everything up, MONAD XYZ represents one of the most ambitious attempts in recent years to solve the fundamental limitations of the Ethereum execution model. By introducing a parallel EVM architecture, it challenges the traditional sequential processing design of the Ethereum virtual machine, EVM, and proposes a future where transactions can be processed simultaneously at massive scale. This approach, combined with full Ethereum compatibility and standalone Layer 1 architecture, positions MONAD as a serious contender in the ongoing scalability race. While it is still early, and many of its claims will need to be proven in real-world conditions, the excitement around the project reflects a broader shift in the industry toward high-performance, developer-friendly blockchain environments. If successful, MONAD could help define the next generation of decentralized applications, especially in areas like DeFi, gaming, and high-frequency on-chain systems. For users, developers, and traders, the key takeaway is simple. The blockchain landscape is evolving quickly, and performance is becoming just as important as security and decentralization. As this new era unfolds, tools like BitGet Wallet will play an important role in connecting users to these emerging ecosystems in a seamless way. Ultimately, MONAD XYZ is not just another crypto project. It is part of a much larger movement toward rethinking how blockchain should scale. Whether it succeeds fully or partially, it is already influencing the direction of innovation across the entire industry. And that alone makes it one of the most important narratives to watch right now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next update. See you in the next one.